The memoirs of Nehemiah son of Hacaliah. It was the month of Kislev in the 20th year. At the time I was in the palace complex at Susa. Hanani, one of my brothers, had just arrived from Judah with some fellow Jews. I asked them about the conditions among the Jews there who had survived the exile, and about Jerusalem. They told me, the exile survivors who are left there in the province are in bad shape. Conditions are appalling. The wall of Jerusalem is still rubble, the city gates are still cinders. When I heard this, I sat down and wept. I mourned for days, fasting and praying before the God of heaven. I said, God, God of heaven, the great and awesome God, loyal to his covenant and faithful to those who love him and obey his commands, look at me, listen to me. Pay attention to this prayer of your servant that I'm praying day and night in intercession for your servants, the people of Israel, confessing the sins of the people of Israel. And I'm including myself, I and my ancestors, among those who have sinned against you. We've treated you like dirt, we haven't done what you told us, haven't followed your commands, and haven't respected the decisions you gave to Moses your servant. All the same, remember the warning you posted to your servant Moses, if you betray me, I'll scatter you to the four winds, but if you come back to me and do what I tell you, I'll gather up all these scattered peoples from wherever they ended up and put them back in the place I chose to mark with my name. Well, there they are, your servants, your people whom you so powerfully and impressively redeemed. O Master, listen to me, listen to your servant's prayer, and yes, to all your servants who delight in honoring you, and make me successful today so that I get what I want from the king. I was cupbearer to the king. It was the month of Nisan in the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king. At the hour for serving wine I brought it in and gave it to the king. I had never been hangdog in his presence before, so he asked me, why the long face? You're not sick, are you? Or are you depressed? That made me all the more agitated. I said, long live the king. And why shouldn't I be depressed when the city where all my family is buried, is in ruins and the city gates have been reduced to cinders? The king then asked me, so what do you want? Praying under my breath to the God of heaven, I said, if it please the king, and if the king thinks well of me, send me to Judah, to the city where my family is buried, so that I can rebuild it. The king, with the queen sitting alongside him, said, how long will your work take and when would you expect to return? I gave him a time, and the king gave his approval to send me. Then I said, if it please the king, provide me with letters to the governors across the Euphrates that authorize my travel through to Judah, and also an order to Asaph, keeper of the king's forest, to supply me with timber for the beams of the temple fortress, the wall of the city, and the house where I'll be living. The generous hand of my God was with me in this, and the king gave them to me. When I met the governors across the river, the Euphrates, I showed them the king's letters. The king even sent along a cavalry escort. When Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite official heard about this, they were very upset, angry that anyone would come to look after the interests of the people of Israel. Come, let's build the wall of Jerusalem. And so I arrived in Jerusalem. After I had been there 3 days, I got up in the middle of the night, I and a few men who were with me. I hadn't told anyone what my God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. The only animal with us was the one I was riding. Under cover of night I went past the valley gate toward the dragon's fountain to the dung gate looking over the walls of Jerusalem, which had been broken through and whose gates had been burned up. I then crossed to the fountain gate and headed for the king's pool, but there wasn't enough room for the donkey I was riding to get through. So I went up the valley in the dark, continuing my inspection of the wall. I came back in through the valley gate. The local officials had no idea where I'd gone or what I was doing. I hadn't breathed a word to the Jews, priests, nobles, local officials, or anyone else who would be working on the job. Then I gave them my report. Face it, we're in a bad way here. Jerusalem is a wreck, its gates are burned up. Come, let's build the wall of Jerusalem and not live with this disgrace any longer. I told them how God was supporting me and how the king was backing me up. They said, we're with you. Let's get started. They rolled up their sleeves, ready for the good work. When Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite official, and Geshem the Arab heard about it, they laughed at us, mocking, ha! What do you think you're doing? Do you think you can cross the king? I shot back, the God of heaven will make sure we succeed. We're his servants and we're going to work, rebuilding. You can stick to your own business. You get no say in this, Jerusalem's none of your business. The high priest Eliashib and his fellow priests were up and at it. They went to work on the sheep gate, they repaired it and hung its doors, continuing on as far as the Tower of the 100 and the Tower of Hananel. The men of Jericho worked alongside them, and next to them, Zachar son of Imri. The fish gate was built by the Hassenaah brothers, they repaired it, hung its doors, and installed its bolts and bars. Meremoth son of Uriah, the son of Hakaz, worked, next to him Meshullam son of Berechiah, the son of Meshezabel, next to him Zadok son of Bana, and next to him the Tekoites, except for their nobles, who wouldn't work with their master and refused to get their hands dirty with such work. The Shinnah gate was rebuilt by Joiada son of Pasi and Meshullam son of Besodiah, they repaired it, hung its doors, and installed its bolts and bars. Melishah the Gibeonite, Jadon the Meronothite, and the men of Gibeon and Mizpah, which was under the rule of the governor from across the Euphrates, worked alongside them. Uzziel son of Harhiah of the goldsmiths' guild worked next to him, and next to him Hananiah, one of the perfumers. They rebuilt the wall of Jerusalem as far as the broad wall. The next section was worked on by Rephaiah son of Hur, mayor of a half-district of Jerusalem. Next to him Jedaiah son of Harumaph rebuilt the front of his house, Hattush son of Hashabniah worked next to him. Malchijah son of Haram and Hashub son of Pahat Moab rebuilt another section that included the Tower of Furnaces. Working next to him was Shallum son of Halahesh, mayor of the other half-district of Jerusalem, along with his daughters. The valley gate was rebuilt by Hanan and villagers of Zanoah, they repaired it, hung its doors, and installed its bolts and bars. They went on to repair 1,500 feet of the wall, as far as the dung gate. The dung gate itself was rebuilt by Malchijah son of Rechab, the mayor of the district of Beth Hakkerem, he repaired it, hung its doors, and installed its bolts and bars. The fountain gate was rebuilt by Shallun son of Col Hosea, mayor of the Mizpah district, he repaired it, roofed it, hung its doors, and installed its bolts and bars. He also rebuilt the wall of the pool of Siloam at the king's garden as far as the steps that go down from the city of David. After him came Nehemiah son of Azbuk, mayor of half the district of Beth Zur. He worked from just in front of the tomb of David as far as the pool and the house of heroes. Levites under Rehum son of Bani were next in line. Alongside them, Hashabiah, mayor of half the district of Keilah, represented his district in the rebuilding. Next to him their brothers continued the rebuilding under Binwi son of Henadad, mayor of the other half-district of Keilah. The section from in front of the ascent to the armory as far as the angle was rebuilt by Ezer son of Jeshua, the mayor of Mizpah. From the angle to the door of the house of Eliashib the high priest was done by Barak son of Zabbai. Meremoth son of Uriah, the son of Hakaz, took it from the door of Eliashib's house to the end of Eliashib's house. Priests from the neighborhood went on from there. Benjamin and Hashub worked on the wall in front of their house, and Azariah son of Maaseiah, the son of Ananiah, did the work alongside his house. The section from the house of Azariah to the angle at the corner was rebuilt by Binwi son of Henadad. Palal son of Ozai worked opposite the angle and the tower that projects from the upper palace of the king near the court of the guard. Next to him Pedaiah son of Parash and the temple support staff who lived on the hill of Ophel worked up to the point opposite the water gate eastward and the projecting tower. The men of Tekoa did the section from the great projecting tower as far as the wall of Ophel. Above the horse gate the priests worked, each priest repairing the wall in front of his own house. After them Zadok son of Immer rebuilt in front of his house, and after him Shemaiah son of Shechaniah, the keeper of the east gate, then Hananiah son of Shelemiah and Hanan, the sixth son of Zalaph, then Meshullam son of Berechiah rebuilt the wall in front of his storage shed. Malchijah the goldsmith repaired the wall as far as the house of the temple support staff and merchants, up to the inspection gate, and the upper room at the corner. The goldsmiths and the merchants made the repairs between the upper room at the corner and the sheep gate.